Summertime is heating up at Global Voice Broadcasting. Hot music, hot talk, and hot topics. All day, every day, 24/7. You don't want to miss a minute on Global Voice Broadcasting.
We're gonna slow jam.
Yeah.
We're gonna work it hard.
Come on. Yeah.
We're gonna work it
That's right.
like the nerds we are.
To this 99-cent music track, courtesy of iTunes, dropping
Sounds
fat
like a
beats.
98-cent track.
Welcome. Welcome to All Over Voiceover with Kip VH. I'm so happy you are joining us. And in studio with me, the lovely, the talented, my new friend, Kari Wahlgren.
Hi.
Dude, I can't tell you, like, just the last half hour. Now, we got here a little early, and we went over to Starbucks and just had this wonderful conversation that you all missed.
I know.
But
I'm hoping we have something to talk about for the rest of the time.
I think we will.
Because it was good.
It was really good. It was really good.
Yeah.
But it was I don't I'm curious about it was something that you mentioned earlier about how you're the skill set and the calling that you had early on in life, and that your father encouraged you to pursue this work.
Yeah.
So you kind of grew up with a sense of possibility.
I did, and I feel really lucky that it worked out that way, because I'll talk to a lot of people and they'll say, oh, I kind of fell into voiceover, or I never thought that I would be an actor. And, I was one of those precocious kids that was acting and singing and performing for anyone who would listen. And
did you do little shows and stuff?
I did. I would sing in churches or any sort of talent show that would go on anywhere. And but I was also a huge fan of cartoons. So when I was watching the cartoons, I had this sense that somebody was doing the voices behind the cartoons and thinking, oh my gosh, I could do that. So I'd run around and act out the parts and everything. And so I knew from a very early age that I wanted to do voiceovers, even though I didn't have the exact idea of what that was.
Yeah.
And my dad was really encouraging. He said, you've got all this talent and stuff, and it's for a reason, and you can do it if you set your mind to it, and wow. And that's my after-school special, kids. Put your mind to it and you can do it.
And that's one to grow on. I'm Danny Cooksey from Different Strokes. I pity the fool. Don't do what they think they can do. Nothing can be done. Take it from Mr. T. Eat my cereal.
Oh my gosh, I love him. I love him so much. I sat behind him.
Did you really?
At a premiere of a movie, an animated movie that I did. It was Bolt.
Oh, yeah.
For Disney.
Yeah.
And Mr. T was sitting right behind me, and he had the cutest little kid-like snicker. So you'd hear this like all through the premiere. And I'd have to turn back, and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's Mr. T, like snickering right behind me. It was really great. It's one of those surreal moments of, how did I get here?
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Did you notice, by the way, speaking of celebrity encounters, that while we were at Starbucks waiting, there were 2 additional celebrities in that Starbucks while we were there.
Besides us?
Besides us.
Wait,
2 additional.
Who was it?
Brigitte Nielsen.
What?
Did you see Brigitte Nielsen? She was directly behind you.
No, but
she was talking to 2 members of her team, it seemed like.
The crazy thing is that I spotted her somewhere else.
Did you really?
Yes. Of all the celebrity sightings.
So Brigitte Nielsen and then Alan Ruck from Cameron from Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Wow.
And he was waiting for his food. He had one of those little hats and glasses on. And I had worked with him on a show called Cooper Barrett's Guide to Surviving Life earlier this year.
Okay.
And he looked at me like, but he didn't want to go all incognito or unincognito.
Right. And you never want to ask because you're like, hey, did we go to college together? And then the person's like, no, I'm just the face of the national campaign of,
yeah.
you know,
and I've been doing
Honda.
that so that's why you know me. No, I think we went to. Yeah. So isn't that wild?
This town is truly magic.
It really is.
I mean, man.
When did you get to town? You said 15 years ago, about?
Yeah, man, that makes me feel weathered. But yeah, I've been here about 15 and a half years in LA. And
did you come straight out of college or straight out of
pretty much,
Compton,
yeah.
Or how did you get here?
Yeah, because I'm so street.
Came straight out of Compton. That's where I came.
I came straight out of Kansas.
Straight out of Kansas.
That's right. It doesn't have quite the same ring to it, but
right.
Yeah, I went to college in Kansas, and then did a little professional theater in the Kansas City area, and then moved out to LA, and yeah, it was an adjustment because I had lived in Kansas my entire life. In fact, the most edgy I got was moving to the Missouri side of Kansas City.
Yeah.
Ooh, so
yeah.
You come to LA and it's a huge culture shock.
I will say though, like my wife went to graduate school at UMKC.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So she has
show there.
Did you really?
Yeah. Through the Missouri, it was the Missouri rep at the time. But anyway, Go on.
No, that's awesome. I mean, the theater community there, and it's so vital, and they're doing such interesting, wonderful work.
They really are. In fact, I'm still in touch with some people that I did theater with there. And I feel really lucky because the talent and the work ethic there in that artistic community prepped me for everything out here. I mean, it's crazy. And when I got out here and I did some theater in LA is very hit and miss.
Yes.
And so when I started working on some theater in LA that was not up to par, it was a real shock to me because I'm like, what are you talking about?
This is Los Angeles. Why
is
Los
it
Angeles.
Not better?
Yeah.
So yeah, I still am very grateful to those folks that I worked with in KC.
There's a level of, I don't know, there's something about, I felt this I did a show in Knoxville, Tennessee, actually. I was in Knoxville for a while, and we did a production of To Kill a Mockingbird. Aww. And I played Sheriff Heck Tate.
Of course you did.
I loved it. It was great. It was, but like I love not only theater in general, but theater in all over the country is so specific to the community. You know what I mean? It's community theater, so it makes sense. But like the level of quality and the productions and how important it is in the community too.
There's just a level of pride in the work and respect for the work that I really love. And when I would go back to Kansas and visit my parents and stuff like that, I would always try to see a show in Kansas City, a live theater show, because it's just a great reminder of respecting the creative process.
Yeah.
So, yeah, shout out to the Kansas City theater community. You guys rock.
If you can, I feel like it builds a work ethic and a sense of, we were talking about this earlier too, just like this, if you're hungry enough to want to do this work, you'll find a way to do it wherever you are.
That's a good point.
And it might not be as on the surface, or instead of having 20 theaters or little storefronts like in Chicago, there's theaters all over the place, but there's the big 3 or 4 houses that you can get an equity contract working at. But if you want to do it, you can put on a show and people will come. And it takes, you got to get your hands dirty and you got to do multiple things. You don't just get to pick the script up and run it. You have to create for yourself.
I am about ready to flip over this table and go out and just do a play. Just flip it over.
Right?
Right? It's inspiring. It's very cool. And it's okay. I will say that once you get to the point where your art is your career, it can be a tricky space because you have to allow yourself to keep getting inspired and keep being delighted. Because once it goes from just something that you do out of passion to something that you do to pay your mortgage and keep your electricity on and stuff like that, it can really hurt your art.
Yes.
So, yeah. So there's a love in theater, live theater, that's really amazing.
I definitely feel that. I agree with you. Like when you tap into that source of inspiration and it becomes your day-to-day. And it feels, on one level, I'm sitting here now, I'm judging it as a person who is like, how dare you complain about your awesome job? And I don't mean to do that. That's not what I don't know why it turned into Nicolas Cage. How dare you? Don't judge your work. It's great.
Hey, that's pretty good. You've got a good voice.
Oh,
Have you thought about doing voiceovers?
No.
Nobody makes a living in that. That's crazy.
It can't be done.
That's
can't be
crazy.
done. You should just, if you're an extrovert, you should go to the pulpit. But and then preach as Nicolas Cage. You'll do like little
Wouldn't that be fun?
little impressions of like,
oh my gosh,
and all the apostles. Genesis. I'll give you the 10. Act out the Bible.
That's my female Nicolas Cage.
In
the beginning, there was light.
Beginning, the end of the first day. I love it. I think that should be a celebrity-read version of the Bible, and I know James Earl Jones does it, but I think it'd be really fun if it was like a bunch of celebrity impressions throughout the Bible.
Wouldn't that be kind of cool?
It would be like, it'd be challenging to do it without being, as my grandparents would say, sputness or blasphemous. Like,
oh man, I would listen to that audiobook.
It'd be really fun, right?
That would be really fun.
If Matthew McConaughey was Jesus.
All right.
Blessed are the peacemakers. I love it. That's actually at the heart of the Voice NATO thing that I've been doing at Stanley's Kamikaze. Is like one year we did Shakespeare, but it was fun to do Macbeth, but chunks were too big, so it's like it was fun to do Bernie Mac, but like if you do Bernie Mac for an entire speech, then it loses the fun.
Then it gets a little
it's just figuring out the right amount
tedious.
of size of the bit. Otherwise, the bit's too long.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's Shakespeare.
That's Shakespeare, right?
So wordy.
Have you ever done any of that? Have
I
you
have
done that Shakespeare stuff?
I've done it. I did it in Kansas.
What did you do?
I did the Kansas City Shakespeare Festival.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we did the Scottish play and Much Ado About Nothing and King Lear.
Oh, yeah. Who'd you play?
I was Cordelia.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I felt so badly for the guy because he had to like carry me. So I was like, think light thoughts. Think light thoughts.
Sherry just played Goneril. They did it in Alabama last summer.
Oh wow!
It was a marvelous production, and to see, and I love when Shakespeare is made accessible by the performances without retranslating it the way I think that's been happening lately. It's like we need to make Shakespeare more accessible, so we're rewriting the words. Like
maybe not.
Maybe spend a little bit more time in text analysis to find a way to make it make more sense. But that's a topic.
My goodness,
that's gonna get letters.
We could go off on that, and
That's right.
Are you having trouble sleeping? Text analysis.
Well,
Shakespeare, scene 1.
Do you have that like whenever I'm in a play, I reblock it right before tech in my dreams.
Really?
So it'll be an anxiety dream, but I'll go to bed and then about 2:00 my mind completely reblocks the show.
I just have those anxiety dreams now.
Really?
Like, just the stage, being in the wings of a show that suddenly I'm supposed to be doing and not knowing.
No idea what I'm supposed to say? No
idea what play we're doing. That pops up a lot. And I have my recurring, here's something that first time ever admitting this. I have recurring anxiety dreams about college, and it's always college. And I'm always trying to get back into college, or I am showing up on the campus and I don't know where I'm supposed to go, or I haven't enrolled in any classes and the semester is halfway over. I'm not sure, but that one comes back consistently. That and zombie dreams, but that's
zombie dreams.
That's a whole nother conversation.
Oh man, how long have you been having anxiety dreams?
Oh, years. Years. Pretty much my whole life. Yeah. But it's weird. Like, there are just a couple that have recurred for, I would say, a solid 20 years. Yeah. The zombie ones.
Just keep coming.
20 plus years. They scare me so badly. I can't watch The Walking Dead.
Yeah.
I love vampires, but I'm terrified of zombies.
What is it about zombies that scares you? Is it the relentlessness of them, the volume?
That's it. That's a good point.
They just keep on coming?
It's the lack of reason.
Huh.
You know what I mean? It's that you can't say, think about what you're doing.
Right.
Brains. Wait, stop. Just take a second to really think about brains, you know?
That's true. It's interesting, though, that the nature of just a mindless, unstoppable force.
Yes.
You know, works in that way. I had my recurring dream of terror was at Kentwood Pool, which is just a big swimming pool in my community. And then I was there with some scientists, and there was a giant great white shark swimming around in the water. And then something snaps, and then the walls start receding slowly.
Oh.
And that was the end of that dream. But I stopped having that dream when I got out of the Midwest for some reason.
I did a couple of sprint triathlons some years back, and one of them was in the Pacific Ocean. The swim portion was in the ocean. The first one was in a lake. So swimming in a lake and swimming in an ocean is very different.
Yeah.
And I literally, in the week or so leading up to the triathlon with the ocean swim, I saw like 3 news articles or features on TV about people killed by sharks. And I was like, universe, please stop.
Yeah.
Please just...
Why are you messing with my confidence?
Why?
Yeah. How long did you with the triathlons? What was that process like for you in terms of like are you a runner? You run a lot and that kind of stuff, or not so much?
Well, that's a great question to ask right this second, because I have in the last 5 months severely sprained one ankle and torn a tendon in the other ankle. So right now I am the best little limper you've ever seen. It's like a little Quasimodo limp. But yeah, in the past I've run a number of endurance races and really enjoyed doing half marathons and did a few marathons. The last one I did was the New York Marathon, and that was pretty amazing. Because you go through all of the sections of the city. So you just get to see the different personalities of all the different boroughs, and yeah, it's pretty amazing.
Have you done the backstage Disney one? Have you done that run yet, or the 5K or the 10K or whatever that is?
I have done the Disneyland half marathon.
Oh, great.
The Disney Princess half marathon and the Tinkerbell half marathon.
Oh, wow.
I know. And the irony was that I ran my fastest time at the Disney Princess half marathon dressed as Tinkerbell.
You dressed as Tinkerbell?
Booyah! That's right.
They have the best medals.
They do, don't they?
They really have the best medals.
Have you done one?
No. I work at Disneyland, so when I see people on those days carrying those medals and their foil blankets, it's like I just want one of those. You know, go to a pin trader and exchange it for a... They're
like the size of a loaf of bread. It's like amazing. You're just wearing a big, TV around your neck. Like, they're that big.
It's really incredible. And they're beautiful. They're shiny, and they make you look like you just won the whole thing.
Right?
Yeah.
And it's so fun, and you get to run through the parks, and if you're taking it not seriously at all, which you shouldn't, because it's Disneyland or Disney World,
right?
But you get to see all the different characters as you're running, and some people stop and get their pictures taken with them. I mean, it's the most charming experience. It's amazing. I highly recommend it.
What a blast!
Yeah.
I'm curious about your journey from stage to microphone. How did you make not necessarily the transition? And I believe that as an actor, you should act, meaning you're going to do like kind of all of it. How did you find yourself doing this stuff?
Well, you know, when I was growing up, there wasn't a huge voiceover market in central Kansas.
Yeah.
But literally, I was recording my voice on tapes and I was mailing it. Yes, cassette tapes, kids. This is back in the
best,
right?
What were you like? Did you have like a little like the tape?
Yeah, like the cassette tape recorder, and then you'd have to click down the play
record and play
and
at the same time, so you can talk into the tiny little microphone.
Right.
But then you were sending it out.
I was sending it out and writing little hand letters to people and going to the library and looking up. You know, it was one of those kids. Okay, just
I know, but I'm telling you this like. Because I did the exact same thing.
Did you?
And I'm emotional about it because I thought there was part of me that thought I was the only person doing it.
Oh.
You know, like I'd go to the Gaines Township Library and dig up, look at business white pages from Los Angeles, and just apply this sort of crazy little research brain that I learned to write term papers.
Yes.
You know. And to send it off to, you know, just send a little part of myself off to this big, impossible fortress someplace west of the Mississippi.
And how amazing do you look at where you're at now and you think, oh my gosh, it's actually happening.
Yeah.
Which is
it's to that person, it's overwhelming. When I was making the joke earlier about like the Nicolas Cage thing yelling at you, that was actually Nicolas Cage is actually my 15 or 16-year-old self being like, how dare you?
That's
you know,
hysterical.
You wouldn't be where you are now without me.
Right.
Without the 15-year-old kid digging through all those resources, and whether they generated anything or not, that was momentum.
I completely agree, and I think that enthusiasm and that passion that you have at your younger age, your younger self, all of that fuels what eventually happens, and it comes back around in the strangest, weirdest ways. And the perfect example I can think of is there is a voice director in Los Angeles, and I really, really admire her. She is, you know, somebody that I've followed her career for many years, and I think she's really amazing. And literally when I was in 6th or 7th grade, I was really obsessed with this show, this cartoon, and I looked at the credits and saw that she did the voice directing and casting. So I went and found her name and address in some book at the library, and I wrote her a fan letter. And I said, oh my gosh, I really loved your casting and your voice directing on this cartoon. I'm hoping that one day I'm going to move to Los Angeles and I'm going to work with you. And I'm working with her right now. And I literally, my arms get goosebumps because I think back to my incredibly dorky, nerdy, did I mention dorky, 12-year-old self or whatever. Yeah. And to fast forward and have that finally happen makes me really appreciate it, like 10 times more.
I agree.
So
I feel like you have to keep a foot in that world, and in a world out of, I don't know necessarily why I feel compelled to, like if I get to audition for a Batman thing and I get to actually read Batman.
And be in the mix.
That's right.
Perspective. I think it's perspective. If we keep that little 12-year-old or 15-year-old self inside and we take just a second to be like, don't take this for granted. Think about 12-year-old dorky Kari.
That's the character of it. Absolutely. That's the nature of it, is that there
the
is,
heart of it, yeah.
You own that, and that you also reflect on the people who are being inspired by that too.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's I don't know. It's there. It's present. It's like temperature or like a smell in the room, that you have that awareness. It's like, if you get an audition for a national spot, if you sit there and look at it and go, oh boy, here we go. It's a national spot. This could make my year. This could be a campaign voice.
These three words.
This how I sing this jingle could make my year. Okay. Get it together. Get it together, Kip. All right. Friendly, casual. Okay.
Non-announcery.
Non-announcery. I can get this. Let me go get some water. You can't do that. You have to throw it away.
Yeah. Which is so hard.
Right.
Sometimes.
But at the same time, there is that awareness of what the impact of it could be.
Yeah.
And I think that having that feeling and connection to that momentum to draw you out here, or that excitement, or the fandom, the just meeting people and being colleagues with them.
Oh yeah, and you bring up a great point with like the fandom, and I always feel so odd thinking, oh my gosh, I'm at the point now where I'm doing things that mean something to other people, and that's a very overwhelming thing. It's very humbling if I stop and think about it, and so going back to that whole idea of perspective and going back to that little 12 or 15-year-old inside, I think it also helps remind me of how to treat other people, because I may not think I've arrived or that I am doing something that's having an impact on someone, but if you go to a convention and you meet these folks, or if someone who's starting out in the business, says, hey, I've really admired what you're doing and stuff like that, how you interact with that person can really make a difference in their lives in some way.
Yeah.
So I think I think basically what I'm trying to say in a nutshell is don't be a jerk. Don't be a jerk.
Yeah.
And this applies, I think all the things that we're talking about apply to any field that you go into. Whether it's
100%.
voiceover or anything else.
If you're in the business of designing software, computer systems for cell phones or whatever, like you all of the skill sets that you apply to this are 95% of what we do is business management as independent,
right?
People. The moments where you get to either act and become somebody else, or be in a session and be directed, and those kind of moments are wonderful, spectacular moments, or sometimes incredibly challenging and physically draining, and vocally stressful.
Right.
There's all of it, but it's that's when you're doing what you're doing.
Right.
The rest of the time is management.
Yeah.
And transportation.
And then we go back to the keep your enthusiasm, and don't be a jerk.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's right.
My goodness, I think our world would be in a lot better state if we all followed those two things. But that's another discussion. It's another deeper, darker discussion.
It's a deeper, darker discussion about the direction our entire world is drifting.
Yes.
We're a fallen world.
Pathos.
And we are called to be a light in the darkness.
I love how when I get like really amused by something, I get that horsey laugh. I'm doing it right now. I need to work on a more suave laugh.
I think you should work on a Mr. T laugh. If you can bring back a Mr. T laugh.
That was literally, it was the cutest thing. He endeared himself to me even more than I thought possible.
Oh, that's
before
awesome.
That, it was pretty charming.
That's awesome. Can I ask you what your...
No.
All right.
No,
well,
please.
Let me scratch that off my hand. Go to the next one. What is... No. What's your process like when you get I know everything is different, but like let's say like an animated character with a drawing and a description. How do you go about your process of laying that audition down and creating the character and all those things? What do you do?
Well, it is different for every piece of copy, and you have to take clues from what you're given. So actually, if you get a drawing of the character, that's a huge clue and a huge help, but you don't always get that. If you get a visual drawing of the character, that helps. If you get an in-depth description of the character, that helps. Sometimes you just get a script. Sometimes you get a script that has absolutely no context. It's just like a little tiny monologue script, and you have no idea.
Yeah.
And in those cases, if you can't draw clues from the scenery and how everything's set up and the drawings and stuff like that. My firm belief is to err with confidence. Make the biggest, most focused choice that you can and go with it. Because they a lot of times don't know what they want.
Okay.
And a lot of times they're floundering with what this character is going to be. They may still be writing the script, all these different things. But if you put forth something that just is interesting, it might be interesting enough for a callback. And the thing is your goal as an actor, I think, should be to give the strongest audition that you can and to try to get to the point where you're getting to the callback. Because that's where a lot more things happen, I think. Because once you get into the callback situation, you're there with more of the clients and the writers and, the director and stuff like that. And at that point, they may be a little further along with the project. They may know what they want a little bit more. They may be able to at least tell you more about the script. For instance, I had an audition once where, there was no description really of what was going on. So I assumed that I was talking to a guy. And so I made the choice that this character was in a romantic relationship with this guy and that she was kind of putting the moves on him during the thing. And so she's, hey, I'd really like to, go on this journey with you and blah, blah, blah. Make it to the callback. And I get into the callback and they said, hey, we really liked what you were doing with the character in the read. We want you to know that she's talking to her brother.
Awesome.
And perhaps she's not trying to seduce her brother in this particular show. But the thing is that it didn't matter. Like, I didn't know. Yeah. And they knew I didn't know.
Yeah.
But I did something interesting enough with what I was given to make them want to see me again. And know
that when you walk into that situation, they're going to redirect you. And you can take redirection. Right. And that's really what the hope is that, and give them credit. You know what I mean? There's so much actor talk, I think, about well, so-and-so doesn't know what they want, and they'll never know what they want, so you have to solve all of their problems. And then the choices that you make will dictate what they end up using at the end of the day.
Too much pressure.
Right? And it just feels like I'm going to trust. I had Paul Rugg in a while ago talking about...
isn't he great?
Oh, he's the best. So funny and a brilliant writer.
Throw that in. Oh, he's so great.
Shout out to Paul Rugg. What's up?
Hi, Paul.
He's been posting about this bird that's been hassling him. Have you seen these?
No, but I'm going to be immediately looking that up.
It is one of the funniest series. He's tied a kerchief around his neck and is now reporting on this bird that is hassling him.
Oh my gosh.
It's very, very fun. Anyway, but he talked about as a writer on Animaniacs how deep they go with what they do know and how many revisions. And like one of the things he said is like when you get sides and you see the stars in there, letting you know that script has changed. And if you're getting that as an audition, you know that they've been working on this for so long and that they want you to, not just. It was. I don't know. I got a great sense of it when I was working on this game and went to Boston and the producer said to me, I'm really interested in what your ideas are because there's nothing I love more than collaboration. And it was that sense of
magical,
right? And it made me feel like not just an actor coming in holding my hat, going, I'd really like to talk into a microphone for you, sir, if you can spare the time. I don't want to be a bother. I'll be out of here as soon as possible. But like as a valued creative partner in the creation of this character to make this game come alive.
Some of the most rewarding work that I've ever done has been scratch vocals on some animated features. Yeah. And what that means, if anybody out there doesn't know, is that a lot of times as they are writing and storyboarding one of the major animated features, they will bring in a voice actor. And a lot of times you have to audition for it. And you will come in and record the script that they've done, and you will keep coming in, sometimes for 2 or 3 years.
Oh my gosh.
As they work out the project. And what often happens is that somewhere towards the end of the process, they hire a celebrity.
Yeah.
And so you get replaced in the ultimate feature.
Yeah.
Now, sometimes you go in knowing that. Like sometimes you go in and you've auditioned to be a voice match for a certain celebrity that you know eventually is going to be in the movie.
100%.
And sometimes they don't know who they're going to hire yet. So you go in and you actually have this amazing hand in guiding the project and helping them find the project. And it's such a collaborative experience. And that has been one of the most fulfilling, rewarding jobs that I've ever done. I've done it on a number of Disney movies.
Mm-hmm.
And to see the evolution of a character in a movie. And I remember working on one really big Disney feature, and I was playing the lead princess.
Wow.
And they had this one scene, and they kept talking about how they wanted to make her very smart. And everything in me, I usually don't like to say anything, but I just in this one moment said, listen, you're saying you want to make her really smart, but this is really dumb what she's saying here. Like if she's read a lot of books and she knows a lot of different things, I just feel like maybe this is painting her in a really ignorant situation.
Huh.
And they cut it.
Wow.
They cut the whole scene and they rewrote it. And it was really amazing to be that collaborative in a process to where they're actually listening to my thoughts on it.
Yeah.
So yeah. When it does turn into a collaboration, it can be kind of really amazing.
The image in my head is like, like with bronze casting, how you take a chunk of, I don't know why I know this, but liberal arts college, how they take a chunk of wax and then they carve and sculpt until the wax is just right. And that's the thing that they make. And then they put that in the mold, and they make the mold around that, whatever the mold might be made out of, whether it's steel or, I'm probably completely screwing this up, but you get the idea. And then they drill a little hole in the top, and then they pour in the hot brass or bronze, and it melts the wax, and the wax drops out the bottom, and then the bronze takes the place of the wax in there, and it makes the cast. So that's how you can get a sculpted metal piece. The metal isn't sculpted, it's poured. But the wax is what's sculpted. It's just like on Face Off where they're doing prosthetics with clay.
Yes.
Same
Which
idea.
I'm obsessed with that show.
Right? How awesome. Every time like someone at
So
CESD
obsessed.
mentions that they know V. Neal really well, I'm like, is she as nice as she seems on the show?
She's awesome.
She's awesome. I love her. I got to work with one of the guys who was like a guest judge on a show, and he had just done my bass or whatever on the thing, and it's just so much fun. I love the creativity and the exploration.
Artistry.
It's nice to see that, and it's the right sort of a place for that in reality television.
Yes, and I love that they have not cowed into the drama of it, that they've kept it focused on the artists.
That's right.
And not the behind-the-scenes drama.
And every time a show does that, where they manufacture this sort of drama and the sniping behind the people, I love that the contestants are helping each other open each other's molds and stuff like that,
Yeah.
It's like, why wouldn't we? You have to be a collaborator to work in this business, especially in that.
Right.
So, nerd out.
Oh my
Face
gosh,
Off.
nerd out.
Woo-hoo!
Totally.
Mackenzie,
Oh my
I love you. Posty. But that idea of the wax and the casting and all that stuff, of that, you might not get to be the brass thing or the bronze thing or whatever that ending casting thing is, but I'd way more want to be the wax anyway. I want to be the person that gets molded and sculpted and create this performance. And then if some celebrity comes in and gets poured and that's the thing that lasts, okay, but I know that I did that work.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And to be part of that process.
That's right. And how much that affects the choices I make down the road and other
Right.
things, or just the satisfying nature of creating something?
And if you're a fan of animation, if you are a lover of cartoons and that sort of thing, just to see that process unfold is wonderful, because I think for me, every piece of it was just fascinating, not only to see the rewrites, but to have them hand me these little tiny thumbnail sketches of the storyboarding, and then to see it turn into much more detailed sketches, and then to see it turn into just the outlines of CG animation, and then to see all of the detail in the animation come through, and then to see the marketing chunk come in, and then to see that, like, to see all of the steps and work and collaboration that goes in behind the scenes, for me, was incredibly exciting. I mean, yeah, I get little goosebumps thinking about it.
It's wonderful. I love that industry, that someone saw it in their head and then they're able to make it, and you get to be a part of that process.
Yes.
It's great. It's great. When you're doing when you're doing like group stuff and you don't necessarily have a character that you've dialed into for said audition or something like that, what's your process in that context where it's like, I need someone to play a rug? Like what? Like I've not done ensemble animation work in that context, so I don't have an experience with it, and I'm very curious about what your process is of like, I might have a rug. Do you go from a vocal place, or how do you make quick choices in that context to make it? What's your process, or is there much process? Or
that's a great question, and you nailed on something with quick choices, because with the ensemble records, they can be really great because you spend so much time laughing because you get a lot of zany, talented people in one room together at the same time.
Yeah.
You get to kind of play off of each other's energy, and there's always a lot of energy in group records.
Yeah.
People may say a line that totally fuels your interpretation of your lines. So there are a lot of great things that can come out of ensemble recording sessions. And if you're lucky enough to be part of the ongoing group, you get into such a wonderful flow. I joined the cast of Fairly Odd Parents for this new season, and that ensemble group is the most well-oiled comedy machine I have ever worked with. I mean, this is 15 years of it. And so being the new kid on the block with that was really scary and hard to jump in and get into the dynamics with everybody else. But, they have such a rapport, and you hope that happens with an ensemble.
Yeah.
So if you're part of the original group, I think that you do sort of get into a rhythm and a flow with the other actors. If you are the guest star for that one episode, it's different because you're coming into a pre-established group.
Interesting. The dynamic has got to be very different.
Dynamic's already established with them, and you're there for a day, maybe a few days if you're recurring.
Okay.
And in those cases, I think that it's a mixture of quick choices because things happen very quickly in TV animation, especially. You're not going to be recording over months and months. If you're the guest star, you come in for a day, maybe two. And I think it's going in with a couple of choices. If you've read the script, go in with this is my take on this character. But then the second hugest thing is being open to redirect, because you've got to pick up on the flow and the energy of the rest of the cast.
Yeah.
And B, you have to be open to redirection on the spot from the director. So you may come in and you have a very clear idea that you are going to be doing this very breathy, kind of villain like this. And they're like, okay, we had you. I know you did that in your audition, but we don't want any of that British stuff, and we don't want any of the textury stuff. And we're kind of thinking we want you to be a little bit higher and maybe about 10 years younger. Okay.
Great.
Yes, I can do that right now on the spot, even though I've had no time to think about it.
Yeah.
So you just have to kind of be ready to play and roll with it.
Wow.
Because it's not just about you in the group record. You've got the whole rest of the ensemble there. So, yeah, I guess I probably could have summed that up much faster, but that's... That was a pretty fantastic sum up and a really kind of great underline for why a little improv training is helpful to get you past, you know? Yes. Improv training is great. Cold reading, hands down, I think is the most helpful skill that you can have next to improv. Because then with voiceover, if you branch out into any sort of narration, any sort of, promo work or audiobooks and things like that, a lot of times you get the script on the spot.
Yeah.
And, I used to do a number of things for ETV specials, the countdown special, the top 10 sexiest swimsuit bodies, like that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And you get an 80-some page script when you show up.
Yeah. There's no time to be. And if, like, I've narrated several books, and as much as I would love to have read the book in advance, I'm not a fast reader. And often all I've read beforehand is what I auditioned with and the summary.
Right.
And you just don't have the luxury of time. It's like I would curl up with this 800-page book and highlight all the right words. But sometimes I've just got to make a choice because, this guy is Scottish. Or you go back a page and a half and you're like, let me take it back to that guy because there's no vocal separation from where I'm going.
Exactly. So I just tell people anytime they're like, what advice can you give me? Cold reading. Literally pick up a magazine next to you, pick up a book, pick up the phone book, and just read out loud a little bit.
Yeah.
The more technical, the better, just because, with video games, you'll show up and it'll be a very, very dense script that sometimes you haven't seen beforehand. And you've got to be able to read the text and make choices sometimes with very, very little preparation. Preparation beforehand is kind of it's a great luxury. If they give you the luxury of the script beforehand and you have a lot of time to prepare, that is wonderful.
Yeah. Yay!
But you have to be ready to not have that luxury.
I love hearing you say that. I truly do.
Oh, no.
No, it's okay. Because inside this box is a T-shirt that says preparation is luxury. No, I love hearing you say that because there's so much pressure on and importance and underline on preparation. You need to be prepared. And yes, absolutely. When I have the opportunity or when I have the luxury of time working in your benefit, but sometimes you just simply don't have the opportunity to prepare. And all you can do is prepare yourself to be open and facile.
Flexibility.
Yes.
I think the two keys are preparation and flexibility. You prepare as much as you can, as much as you are able, given the materials that you are or are not given, and then being flexible for everything else. I had a situation recently where I was going in for a callback, and I was going in for about 4 different roles, and they had given me a sound-alike reference, an audio reference for one of the characters, and you had to sing a song, you had to do the lines and then sing a song as that character, and then the other characters, I just had a script and stuff like that. So I got to a callback, and I went in and did my singing and my sound reference, sound-alike thing for the one character. And then they're like, okay, so do you want to listen to the sound-alike for this next character? And I was like, I don't think I received anything for that. And they're like, oh, okay. I said, let's listen to it.
Yeah.
So on the spot, listen to it. All of my choices that I made had to shift to accommodate that. And then they said, did you get this song for this character? No, I did not. Would you be open to hearing something else? And so I picked a song and sang it. They went on to the next character. Would you like to hear the sound alike for that? Which I also did not get. So that audition is a perfect example of, I prepared as much as I could, but then I got into a situation where it's like, oh, crap.
Yeah.
This is a lot of stuff that I was not given mistakenly, and I've got to be flexible.
Yep.
And in this case, I mean, the wonderful epilogue to the story is that I booked one of the parts.
Oh, great.
That I did not have a song or a sound sample for.
Awesome.
So in that case, flexibility.
Yeah.
And just the willingness to be open and play and still take control of your audition.
Yeah.
That's the best advice I can give.
That's great advice. And I think, the other part of that too is like there's nowhere for you to go improve your cold reading skill. You just have to do it.
Yeah.
And you can do it right now with whatever's sitting next to you.
Right.
And so much of that, I think, it comes back to what we were saying earlier about just trying to figure it out and make your own path. You've got to, if you want to do this kind of thing, you have to. It's not enough to dream about it. You've got to go down to the library. You got to, you know what I mean?
Put the work in. Just those hours that you put in so that you're prepared when the opportunities come along.
Yeah.
Is the most you can do.
Yeah.
Well, I think we've solved the world's problems
we have solved
now.
That. Well done. Nicely done.
Nicely done. As he sits back in his chair and drinks his
sip a little
iced
bit more iced
coffee
coffee with no sugar
from
inside.
Starbucks.
How do you? Well, it's interesting. You mentioned something that struck me, and I want to double back to it. In that, keeping your creative joy and that kind of thing, having that balance between drawing on that to feed your work, and when work becomes, I gotta go create some more. How do you either refill your creative energy or find that separation between that's for me to inspire me, and you don't draw from that? You can. It's like in my head, it's like it's a core that radiates this joy, and then you draw from what the radiation, I guess.
Yeah.
Maybe it's nuclear. What's your process, or how do you deal with that?
That's a really great question.
Thank you.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, you should interview people.
I still don't know what I'm doing, but
no one does.
No one
Are
does.
you kidding? We're faking it all the time.
All the time.
That is the other secret to everything.
Much more rather listen to you and react and think about our conversation and have a conversation than have my list of questions. So sometimes that leads me to talk about my iced coffee. However,
it is hard because I've found that it's harder sometimes for me now to watch cartoons because I'll recognize the voices of so many of my friends.
Yeah.
So it's harder for me to pull back from and just enjoy the story and the magic of, oh my gosh, this is, this fantasy thing that's happening.
Yeah.
Because I've been so much on the other side
on the
of it.
Side of it, yeah.
I find that for me, it's new experiences and new stimulation, and going out and seeing art or different forms of art. I love museums. I love live music.
Yeah.
I love dance troupes and burlesque shows and science exhibits, like anything that challenges my mind or just makes me look at things in a different way can oddly fuel my work. Because I find that, I guess this all kind of ties into another piece of advice that I usually give people if they ask me, what's your voiceover advice to people wanting to get in voiceover?
Yeah.
Have a life outside of acting. Have a life, have friends, have hobbies, have things that bring you joy outside of the work.
Yeah.
Because I'm telling you, 99.9 times out of 100, it's those random weird things that come back in to fuel your art.
Yes.
So it's the people that oh my gosh, for years they just doodled and they loved to doodle on sketch pads, and then all of a sudden one day it came back around and they started animating for a cartoon show.
Yeah.
Or it's the people that love to play D&D and, you know, they just got together with their friends and they did it, and now they're doing, you know, a show about it. Or the people that love to play music and they would just kind of, you know, the guy that I recently talked to, a guy, and, you know, he was just a carpenter on the side for his side job and stuff like that. And of course, he shows up to one audition for some reality TV show and shows up in his tool belt and stuff like that. And he gets hired as the host on an HGTV show.
Oh, my God.
So it's all of those things that you bring in the other areas of your life that can fuel your art. So if you're feeling stagnant, I think for me, one of the things that really helps me is to go out and have a new experience or go try something that I've never tried before. Yeah. Even if I hate it. I went curling.
You didn't like curling?
I went curling with a friend of mine.
Did you go to Hollywood Curling, to the curling
Yes.
center? Yeah. I know a couple of those people.
Much harder.
Yes.
Than anybody. I will never make fun of it during the Olympics again because it was hard.
It's hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's physically exhausting, and the strategy involved, all of it.
And the flexibility, you're like doing these splits, kind of side split positions that are just very odd. But it was a blast, and I laughed my butt off, and I had the best time, and I felt a little goofier and more fun when I went into work the next day. And that can only help you when you're recording cartoons.
That's absolutely true. Oh, that's awesome. No, that's. I think that is such.
What do you do, Kif? I'm curious. Like, what's? How do you kind of keep freshness in your work?
This show has been a big part of that for me.
Oh wow.
I look to other sources. I find inspiration in conversation with my wife and with my daughter, and I draw a lot of inspiration. I mean, I honestly, like, it's what has led me to do this particular show has been a desire to connect to people who are not only doing what I do and either have adjacent career paths, but having spent most of my life as an anomaly in where I was doing or trying to do this work, that to be around like-minded people who are doing it and have been doing it, I'm fascinated by the spark that led folks to leave where they started or to just like emerge. Like Scott White from Manhattan Beach has always been here, has done it, but continues to find joy in it and loves it, you know, to people like America Young, who came out of Nebraska and had a hunger and a desire not unlike what we're discussing now. It's just I'm eminently inspired by my colleagues, and when most of the time I work strictly with, you know, because most of my work is generally in commercials or voice match. So I love working with those people and collaborating and bouncing off things. But I do feel like most of my inspiration for things now comes from everything else, you know, whether it's the sound design in The Witcher 3. The sound design in that video game inspires me every time I play it.
Wow.
And it's nothing more than the breeze in the grass. But it's the desire by some designer at CD Projekt or whoever was responsible for all the different companies who made that game possible, that they thought enough to make it sound like fall. You know, I mean, I'm so just honored and privileged to be a small part of what they put together. And that I draw a lot of inspiration from that. And, you know, and it's also a calling, you know, I feel like I owe them to give them the best that I can give them. You know, you want to, as an artist, you want to be able to be, this is me, you know. So I'm inspired by that a lot. And then also I find an eminent amount of inspiration from the Red Hot Chili Peppers, actually. I absolutely do.
Nice.
Mark Romanik's video I talked about this, I think, last week. For the music video for Can't Stop is if ever I run into a place where I'm just like, I'm spent. I have no ideas. I have no more creative energy. I watch the music videos of Mark Romanek, in particular, Can't Stop by the Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Wow.
And it's inspired by 1 minute sculptures by this artist named Ernest Wurzel, I think. Maybe that's wrong.
I'm going to be Googling this after this.
Check it out. What they did is they had just a bunch of crap. Like they went to the 99-cent store. And what 1 minute sculptures is you have 1 minute, make a sculpture with what's around you, go.
Oh.
So
I am
now,
so Googling this.
Oh my gosh. The thing starts up, the way the music video begins, and it's not a spoiler, it just starts you down. There's a great big yellow ventilation hose, and the camera through the it's just driving and it's building, and the camera goes flying through this hose, and then it comes out right on Anthony Kiedis's crazy face, sticking through this hose, like going like, ah! Like that, you know? And then off they go, and it is... I wrote him a fan letter. It was one of the last fan letters I wrote. We were in Cleveland, and, you know, sorry, struggling and creatively very dry. And this DVD came out of the collected short film music videos of Mark Romanek. And he's the director who did 1 Hour Photo with Robin Williams. I remember picking up this DVD, and every single one of those things. He did Audio Slave's music video for the film for Cochise, which is entirely lit by fireworks. Giant scaffolding shooting off live fireworks, illuminating the band playing this. This song is the most explosive, energetic, and then the explode. It's an explosion of color, and it's literally an explosion. It's beautiful, but yeah, the cool footnote to all that is after I sent him an email like, "Dear Mr. Romanek, I love your movies. I'm an artist in Cleveland with no work and a little bit of despair, and I just want you to know that, you know, your stuff inspired me. So thank you." And then 2 years ago, I did a launch trailer for Call of Duty Ghosts.
Okay.
And it was through 72 and Sunny, the ad agency, and I was the voice of the thing. Like, we all wear masks. It's a very dramatic thing. Director's name was Mark. I didn't think anything about it till the thing came out, and I saw that I was directed and did a session with Mark Romanek. I had no idea.
Oh
my
gosh!
No awareness of it. Right?
Goosebumps. Every hair on my arms is standing up right now.
It was incredible. And I follow him on Instagram, and his pictures of Venice. I'm sure the guy lives probably 3 miles from me. But like,
did you ever reach out again? Did you ever?
No,
that?
I didn't.
So
maybe I should. I might.
In your heart or in your soul, you just like, wow, it came back around that way.
Yeah, it was really, really, really cool.
Oh, that is powerful.
Yeah. So I mean, so that's where I often draw inspiration too, is from other sources of art, because I feel like if I'm not drawing inspiration from that, then my work is. The work is just work. And and if I'm just doing work for the sake of, well, I better do this quick, let me see if I can voice match Viggo Mortensen.
Yeah.
Then why am I doing it? Why not step over and let someone who is passionate about it and wants to do it. Then my time has passed and I need to do something else. But I don't feel that way yet at all. I love what I do.
And that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Goosebumps still on the arms. Kids, still.
Yeah, man, it's potent.
Woo!
What do you got? What do you got going on? What's coming out? Or our time is coming to an end, sadly. What do you? What things would you like folks to see? What work? And I never asked this, but I'm going to ask anyway because I'm curious about it. What sort of work that's not super well known, but you're super proud of? That you would love people to hear. That, like, for me, I narrated an audiobook as Richard Nixon called Crooked. Okay, that's awesome. And it was a singular experience. And it's, you know, I get no residuals from it. I get no earnings. It was a after contract and it's done. So royalties, it benefits Austin Grossman and everybody at Hachette. But I'm so proud of that. I want people to hear it.
Yeah.
What's yours?
Well, there's a lot of stuff that I can't talk about right now, but we are working on season 3 of Rick and Morty, which
awesome.
Continues to be such an amazing show to even be just a small part of, and Fairly Odd Parents. We're airing the new episodes now, and I think we're going to have some more coming out in the fall, and again, that is just such a delight.
God, to work with Butch Hartman.
He really is. He really is amazing. And the thing that's so cool about him is that he really has a vision. And so you go in and you just know you're in good hands. He trusts that you're going to do your thing and be funny and stuff like that. But he has a vision, visually and vocally and all of these things, and it's just been a joy to work with him.
I'm so happy for you, and that's awesome.
Thank you so much. And as far as one of the shows right now that would be one of those things that I'm really proud of that maybe doesn't have as much visibility, the Mr. Peabody and Sherman show
on Netflix
is on Netflix right now, and we are continuing to record more and more episodes of that, which I can't wait to have them come out.
Awesome.
Because I got a chance to work with a couple of people that I really fangirl over, and it's just one of those shows that has given me permission to play and to come in. And there's one character I've played Joan of Arc in the show. I play a character named Maria Garcia, who is this audience member of the show, and she popped up in like the first episode, one of the first 2 episodes, and was just supposed to be this little 3-line part, and she has completely turned into this recurring character. And it is the one character where I got a piece of art for a Christmas gift from the guys that make the show through DreamWorks. And so it's this framed cell of Maria Garcia, and it's the one thing that I have hanging on my wall at home, because I cannot be in a bad mood and do that show and do that part. And also the one other thing I would say is it's the same thing for babies. I'm doing a lot of baby voices on different cartoon shows. So Doc McStuffins, I'm the new baby on Doc McStuffins and on Harvey Beaks. Oh, yeah. So I'm playing the baby sisters a lot, or in various shows. And you just can't be in a bad mood when you go into a recording booth and do baby noises. You just can't. It like brings me joy every single time, and I walk out of the studio with the biggest smile on my face. So
that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. How can people find you on social media and to follow you and look at your pictures and things?
Yes, I would love that. Awesome. I am on Twitter at Kari Wahlgren, KariWahlgren, and that is also my Facebook page is Kari Wahlgren, and Instagram it's Kari_Wahlgren. I think it's an underslash, right? Underscore.
Well, let's find out.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah. It's underscore.
It's the little line that sort of looks like an underline.
Oh, it is the line.
Kari underline Wahlgren.
So you have an underline. How many underlines is that?
Just
is it
one.
Like just one?
Just one.
Just one space?
Yeah.
That's how I put it. No, why don't you put like no, that's 2 underscores.
Brevity.
Brevity, I guess you're right. And then it's just by Kara_W.
Oh my gosh. You just made me horsey laugh again.
Good.
I've got to work on my cool points here. Yeah. Ha ha ha.
Yeah, well, listen, I cried twice during this thing, so.
That was, you know what? And it was pretty magical.
Well,
it's pretty magical.
Awesome. Well, dude, I'm so grateful for you coming in. We worked hard to make this happen, and just schedules being wonderfully crazy, and I'm just so happy that it came together.
And it was so worth it. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
It was just a pleasure.
It's just a joy to have you on. Yay. Kari Wahlgren, you guys. And we'll be back with more later. Check out the blog. Oh, yeah, there's one other thing I wanted to mention, and I'm going to just totally riff and tell you about it because I ran across this cool charity that if you're into voiceover, and this is me live talking right now. I'm not. See, Kari's still here.
I'm still here.
Yep. So
vamping.
The website is called Learning Ally. go to the website, www.learningally, LearningAlly.org. You can play that back and get it. So you enter it in your browser. What this company does is they read books for kids from high school to elementary school who are struggling with dyslexia, and they need, people to read them. So if you are interested, and it's all volunteer, but you go to that website, you can reach out to the guy and help him out. I guess a lot of VO actors are participating in it. So if you're looking for a place to, spend some time, energy, and donate some time in reading, check him out and do that. So there you go. And I just followed him on Twitter. So
that's amazing. That is
Learning Ally.
One more cool point for you.
Well, thanks. Thank you. It's charities are good.
Charity's good.
Put your time. I prefer putting my effort. There's James Carville says in the documentary The War Room, I think, there's no greater gift you can give than the gift of your labor. Oh. I love that idea. It's easy to give someone who's begging for money $5. It's tough to give them your time. And your time ultimately is more valuable.
Go out and do something good today.
There you go. Well,
Peeps.
Thank you very much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
And thank you for listening in the car. All right. Take care. Thank you for joining us on All Over Voiceover with Kif VH. Please take a moment to review the show and let other folks know what you thought. And if you dug it, please subscribe. Follow the show on Twitter at AllOverVO and check out our Facebook page at facebook.com/AllOverVO with Kif VH. That's it for this time. You get what you get and don't get upset. Claim victory and depart the field.